Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 221, Friday the 21st, Freddy versus JSON. Recorded on Friday the 21st of October 2022 from Zenatta Consulting. I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
All righty, I guess before we get into the show here, Tyler, we're a little late today. We've got some internet issues, so if things freeze,
Mine's
we will
popping in and
carry
out
on.
here. So if I disappear, just soldier on without me. But no, I'm with you in spirit, if not in frame.
I will carry on. We will make it happen. So, hey, with that, let's get right on into events. If you are unfamiliar, you have not watched the show before, I will let you know that over at zenatta.com/events, we keep track of all the events going on in the world of Zoho, not just events that we put on, webinars and such, but anything that Zoho does, anything any other partner does. So you can always head over to zenatta.com and check out all the latest, greatest events. Zoho has got one called Transforming CRM with Digital Signatures, a look into Zoho Sign's integration with CRM tools. That's going to be on October 27th at 10 a.m. And then Zoho Invoice for Developers is going to be on October 27th at 8 a.m. On the 28th, Zoho Emails in CRM. This is going to be a focus group webinar, and that is going to be at 9:30 a.m. on October 28th. That's Pacific time. And then wrapping out the month of October, Zoholics in India is kicking off. So we've got that going on. It's going to be October 31st to November 1st. Then they're rolling all across India. So as always, head over to zenatta.com/events and check out the latest events in the world of Zoho. And with that, Tyler, let's get right on into the news. So Zoho has made a change in their pricing in Zoho campaigns. They have a couple of versions of this. They have standard and professional versions of campaigns, and then they also have a version called Pay As You Go. And they're basically changing the Pay As You Go version. They're taking away some features. I don't think we have anyone using the Pay As You Go version of this product.
Yeah, I don't think
Um,
so. I don't think we've
quite
got
honestly,
anyone using
prior
it.
to
Most
reading this
people end up
article,
using these other plans just because it makes so much more sense at the end of the day just to lock in your subscription.
it really
But it looks like
does.
here for the pay-as-you-go plan, it'll be pop-up forms, contact tags, compare email campaigns, which is a type of reporting, and then dynamic content are going to be removed. I'm assuming those are just being removed because it takes more bandwidth on Zoho's side and they're making less on the account. So they are kind of streamlining things a little bit. So
Yep.
yeah, good time if you are using any of those. Maybe this is your catalyst, right, to jump over to a standard or professional plan. Probably going to end up doing better there as anyways, unless you're just barely using campaigns, then maybe pay as you go stays cheaper. But at a certain point, you're probably going to want to make that jump anyways.
Yeah, and if you're barely using campaigns and not doing much with it and sending less than 1,000 emails out, you can probably do it in the CRM. Another note on this, if this will not take effect with you until you've used up the credits you've already purchased. So when you've used those credits up and you go into the new credits at that point, these features will go away. All right, and moving on with Zoho News. Tyler, this is always exciting for our development team anytime some new APIs are released, but Zoho CRM version 2.1 APIs have been released, and there are quite a few of them. Uh,
These have
pipeline,
been a lot of these have been available for a little while. Maybe they're finally just kind of formally announcing the release of these. Essentially, these are some CRM APIs around pipeline management. That's kind of a big one. It used to be when you got info about a deal, it wouldn't tell you what the pipeline was. So now it's actually going to allow you to do that as well as do some maneuvering with a pipeline, like updating it. You could always create a record in a specified pipeline, but now you have a little bit more control. Now able to get assignment rules via API, which is kind of nice. A big one is the send mail, which you're actually sending a CRM email template. Much easier to do that than to build out the entire template natively in Deluge. Actually just by dropping HTML into your script. Then a couple things there around downloading fields, around attachments, getting counts in a module, getting wizards, so kind of a spread of updates. Really, the big ones though is the pipeline management and the send mail. Those are huge improvements that
And then
just
they have
make the
made
system
some,
a lot easier to work with.
yeah, and then they made some updates to various things. You'll actually need to go into the change log these, but get records, insert update, convert a lead, modules. There's a whole bunch of updates that have been made to existing APIs, and they've changed the error responses, which it looks like it'll be rather nice. I think that the responses before, I guess, were insufficient, and this is a better way of error handling, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically telling you if there's an issue in the data you're sending or in the place you're sending it to, right? Which is kind of useful because sometimes you get an error that's just like, yeah, that didn't work. But it doesn't
Right.
really tell you if it's your format or the endpoint you're using. It's always nice. I mean, the more info you can get in an error, the faster it is to resolve whatever's going on.
And moving right along, Zia is now introducing routine messages in Ask Zia. Basically, what this is, if you're doing something like every day you walk in and you hit Zia and you say, Zia, how many tasks do I have open today? Or, once at the beginning of the week, you want to know, what are my open deals, that kind of thing. You can kind of create these responses. You can set a timer on it. You can set a time, and Zia will just automatically populate that response for you, and it'll just be waiting for you in the CRM. So you can just kind of hit that button, and you don't have to ask it, because the things you've been asking it, which are routine, which is what this is, it's just going to have that response ready for you. So nice little improvement to Zia. I also like this too, because I think it's going to, in a way, sometimes you ask Zia something and it doesn't really maybe give you the right, doesn't understand. So this is going to
Mhm.
avoid all of that, because you're kind of building this routine and just have Zia give that to you. So this is available to all users in the Indian, EU, US, and Australian data centers. So nice
Very
little
nice.
update to Ask Zia there. And then, Tyler, we got some updates to Zoho Creator that have been dropped. In-app notifications, I think, is the big one that everybody's been asking for.
hmm Backend enhancements to improve field usability, increasing usability of drop downs and multi selects is kind of a search thing. The big one for the nerds is the custom connections, being able to just make a connection on the back end and then reference it in your code rather than doing an OAuth every time you need to go external. You kind of set it up in one place and use it as your reference. So, yeah, a couple of these here we can scroll through real quick. In app notifications, this is a pretty commonly requested one. So now essentially you're going to be able to set up some real-time notifications for approvals, blueprints, record comments, all these different types of things. And they're going to just pop up in the top right, similar to CRM. Um, it's also going to work for app mentions as well if you do have a comment section set up inside of one of your records. So that's really nice. I mean, the big ones like approvals, right? Great to just get those in front of somebody without having to poke around inside the system. And then you're actually able to take the next steps that you need to from directly inside of that notifications tab. It's actually funny. This is something that Josh has kind of built in our portal because it wasn't there before, right? So when a developer is finished with the task, they can send a notification that kind of does an HTML pop up similar to this. Now, our notifications do a lot more than you can do with these default ones, but it is nice for those that need kind of just a simple way to ping somebody about a certain thing. Here, with this usability of form fields, I had to read this one a couple times to really understand. Basically what they're doing here is that they're going to allow you to do more fields on a form if you've restricted the character length of those fields to be shorter. So it's almost like your form limits are based on character length limits, not based on how many fields you actually put in. It is kind of nice because generally for like a simple text field, 60 is going to be plenty for a character limit. So if you have a lot of fields that just don't need to be that long, make them shorter, and then you have more fields that you can use later.
Yeah.
So just a minor one, but one where, when you need it, it's nice to have. Now they're kind
I
of
guess I
also
do the
working
math
on.
on here. I guess, can you take 255 and multiply it by 60, and then kind of figure
Yeah,
out
we'd have to see if that math all
how.
checks out, but should be
Yeah,
pretty
I'm
close.
kind of curious because if you set your character length from
Mm.
255 to 100, you get to 160 fields. So that extra 155 characters is giving you an extra 100 fields. So you can have 1,000 fields if everything is just 2 characters long. So that'll work. That'll work out well. Um, and they're
Some
increasing the
drop-down updates
usability of
here.
dropdown.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting one. So this is something that they're doing to try to encourage people to search, not scroll. So if you have a drop-down list that is very, very long, then what it's going to do is not let you scroll through more than 5,000 options. What you'll have to do is search, and that will filter down those options. Again, if you have a drop down field with 5,000 options in the first place, that's an indication that something weird's going on. But if you do and you need it to have that many options, then you surely want your users to search and not scroll. So, not a bad thing, but very, very niche usage there where you'd be using this.
If you had a
Couple other
dropdown of
little updates. Yeah, this
everything
is
or
this is the big one, I think, for the developers, which is custom connectors. This is something that's available in most Zoho apps, CRM, Books, Desk, and basically what a connector is let's say I'm going to integrate Creator to, I don't know, Mailchimp or something like that. Um, in order to send data to Mailchimp, I have to validate my connection with either an API key or an OAuth and a refresh token. And this is basically a way where I can set up that connection in one place and then reference it in my functions. So I don't have to keep creating an OAuth integration in every function that I have that's referencing that API. So again, really just for the nerds, but it makes your code a whole lot easier and simpler because you just set it up one time and point to it. And then lastly, this is one that I didn't really get a great understanding of. So according to the article, you were only able to delete page parameters if there was not any HTML or ZML on the page, but now you are able to delete those parameters. I would imagine maybe if Josh chimes in our chat here to explain this one. I know that we have a ton of HTML on our pages, and I know they do reference a lot of parameters. So might be kind of nice if you find you end up not using one, you can delete it without having to remove all of the HTML from that page. So again, not a particularly sexy new feature update, but for the developers who are using that, I would imagine a huge pain relief there.
yeah. And Creator Team's been on quite a roll lately. So it's been a busy year for these guys. They've just made a ton of improvements over time. All right, and
Yep.
we'll move right on here now. So a Zoho Calendar got some updates. There's nothing really particularly exciting here. You won't miss out on events because now you actually can get desktop notifications in Zoho Calendar. Again, there's a lot of this stuff is just kind of, you know, keeping up with things. On your embed views, you can now give people the option to switch the view that they're looking at. Do they want to see a day, week, month, or whatever? Before you had to embed just whatever view you embedded. That was the view they
Mm,
got. Now you're
that's
allowing
nice.
people to actually make those changes, which is
So if
kind of
you did like
nice.
an events calendar and you wanted to show it on your
Right.
website, you can look at it. Yeah, that's a nice
Yeah.
update there.
Very, very nice, nice thing as well. Again, there's just nothing really, nothing earth-shattering here. Just some nice little changes to Zoho Calendar, and of course, a little more tie-in to Zoho Booking. Um, if you're using Zoho Bookings, but other than that, nice job by the Calendar team. So they keep it moving right along. And speaking of moving along, this is kind of cool. So Zoho presentation, Zoho Show now has an offline mode. Um, Pretty simple here. You have to enable it. Once you enable it, it's going to pull in all the resources and have them there. So you're working in like what happened to you a little earlier, Tyler. Your internet completely goes out. Well, you're fine and you can keep working in Zoho Show because everything is synced over. When the internet comes back up, everything will be updated. They do note here, though, once you enable it and you turn it on and you've got it working, you're good to go. But if you decide you're going to disable it, then all the resources you need to work offline will also be removed, and you will no longer be able to work offline. But that's kind of the same for any application. So nice enhancement for Zoho Show, basically allowing you to completely work in offline mode. And the last news story is pretty cool. We filter through these stories. I think we started with about, I don't know, 15 or 16 the ones we don't cover on the show still end up in the newsletter. Most of them are just little updates. Um, but this is super nice. So for Bigin on the Android mobile app, it now has multi-screen support. So, you're not just looking at the phone view and you have to blow it up on your tablet. And there's so many different device sizes now. And, a lot of people have the fold open phones. We're starting to see those more and more. So it's basically going to adapt to whatever type of screen size you are looking at. It also supports split screen in tablets, which I think is just super cool.
Yeah.
So, and
Well, that's the
scribble
whole thing with
mode.
Bigin, right? I mean, for Bigin, it's kind of a mobile first application. I mean, obviously the web browser still looks nice. You can do everything there, but it's really
Yeah.
designed to be that like lightweight, we're on the go. Maybe we're sending some of the data back to the mothership CRM. But so yeah, any of these like mobile first features are kind of a need to have on this side.
Yeah,
I
and I'm
really do
not
like
sure.
though the split screen and the scribble. Those are really
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Little minor things that do make life a little easier when you're on the move.
And I don't know if this is supported on the iPad. I haven't checked out the iPad version. My guess is probably most of this is already supported on iPad. They don't have to really do. Hopefully, split screen is super nice
Mhm.
feature there. So, shout out to the Bigin product team. Great, great, great job. And with that, Tyler, we're going to wrap up the news and move on to the implementation of the week.
Alrighty, so this is a pretty cool one that we've been working on for a couple weeks. One of those tasks that I assigned out actually that I thought was going to be pretty simple and ended up being very, very complicated. So this one was a team effort with Greg and JP on our team. So big shout out to you guys. This is a custom API integration from Zoho CRM over to the Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, their conversion API. And so basically, what this is that Meta is constantly changing how its marketing tool set works. And most recently, the way that they now are requiring you to improve your algorithm is by sending data back to Meta that's basically tells Meta that a certain lead was good, right? And so Meta's GigaBrain, right, is kind of displaying all these different ads to all these different types of people and groupings and ages and demographics. And let's say all those leads are coming into the CRM, but 80% of them we never convert to a contact because they just weren't a good fit. Maybe they didn't have the budget. Maybe it just wasn't the right. Our service wasn't right for exactly what they were looking for. And so this conversion API basically gives you a way to route data back to Meta to say, give me more people that look like this, right? Give me more people that are in these types of groups. Except really all you have to tell it is the ID or email of the person who ended up being a good lead. So in this case, basically what we did is set up a automated function when a lead is converted that first hash encodes the data because you can't send raw data back to Meta, and then writes that info into their conversion API automatically, which basically records it as like a conversion event for that particular lead. And then Meta on their side takes a look at all of these different, conversion events, and it looks at those people that were converted, and then it tries to retarget your pay-per-click advertising to more people that are similar to the ones you're telling them are good leads. So the nice thing about this is that it's kind of a set it and forget it. Like once you have this thing on and running, you don't really need to do much else other than just continue to manage your budget on the Meta side. But essentially, all of your retargeting and refocusing of your programmatic ads is just going to be done automatically based on the types of people that you're telling Meta to target. So it's very, very slick. This conversion API has not been around that long. Again, it's one of those ones that I thought this was going to be very simple. And we started to work on it, and it really got a lot more complicated than we thought to actually make this thing work. And so, big shout out to Greg and JP for kind of carrying the torch on this one and getting it done because it's very, very cool. If you are doing a lot of pay-per-click marketing, being able to automatically retarget your efforts like this is just awesome. So yeah, big shout out to the team. And I'm sure we'll be doing this one again. So let's make sure to document exactly what we did here, because there's just a ton of value in this type of implementation.
Wow, that's a big one. I
That's a
had no
big one.
idea.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you'll have to tell me what client we did that for. That's
Yeah. It's a very, very cool implementation.
extremely, extremely. I wonder, I mean, if we did it there, I would imagine we could do it with some Google stuff as well. Kind of,
Depends if they have a similar API. Like we could
yeah,
definitely send conversion data back to Google. But the cool thing about this API, I mean, obviously we all have our own feelings about Meta as a company, but the cool thing about this tech is really just that you send it data about who's good and it does the rest. And I think one of the big reasons that Meta is rolling more towards this type of API, from what I've come to understand, is that they're becoming obligated to not give their marketers the ability to selectively discriminate, right? So if you wanted to target by race or by age, Meta's coming under a little bit more fire for kind of allowing people to do those types of actions. And so this is a way to say, like, hey, it's not about age, it's not about any of these demographics, it's just about who I've determined is a good fit, right? And then give me more people like that, regardless of what those parameters may be. So kind of an interesting build, and one that, we'll have to see if we get asked to do again.
excellent. Good job, Greg and JP. And with that, let's head over to the code share over at Club Zenatta. This is a really, really simple one, but a nice one. If you think from Lucas, basically, if you're sending out an email via a script and you're maybe doing some calculations and you're coming up with a number, and that number is actually supposed to be currency formatted, here are 3 lines of code that will take that number in your email and format it with the dollar sign, proper commas, 2 decimal places, kind of round it up and give you a readable number that will be presented inside the email. This is using regex or regular expressions to do that, and just a nice little simple bit of code.
Yeah, one of those ones that you could just imagine a million different ways you might need it. It's pretty common too when you actually merge one of these values into an email, you find that it strips off all that formatting. So pretty common one. Again, regex does hurt my head, but this is pretty much plug and play, I would imagine, where you don't really need to understand what the regex is doing. You can just drop this right into your own code and it will do the rest for you.
And if you don't know already, Club Zenatta is our online community for Zenatta fanatics. And we've got our general discussion forum. We've got our code share forum, which we've talked about. You've got our Q&A, which if you've got any questions you want Tyler and I to answer, you can drop them in there. And we keep track of all Zoho news in real time as well. So head on over to club.zenatta.com. It's free. You can view a lot of the posts without signing in, but if you want to participate, we will need your email and you'll need a login. So we've got your credentials. You can come on in, but check it out. We think you'll enjoy it. And it's a growing community. We got, I don't know, what are we at now? 500, 600, something like that.
Yeah, I think we just
Um,
passed 500. Was it a week or two ago?
yeah,
So
I
it's
think so. Maybe last
coming
week. I
right
think that
along.
little angel appeared on the screen and flew across the screen with his wings. It was, yeah. All right. And with that, let's get on over to our read of the week. And this is from Zapier. It's the 8 best apps to help you focus and block distractions. I'm assuming this is if you do not have a prescription for Adderall. If you don't have that, you will want this. Basically, these are applications that do what they say. They won't let you go to certain web pages. They won't let you run certain apps, and depending on which one of these apps you're using, it gives you very different types of granular control over what you want to see, what time of day you can do things, all those. The one at the top here, Freedom, we're going to talk about it in detail. It's actually our pick of the week. It is not free. It is you know uh, basically $3.33 a month if you pay for it annually, or $9 a month if you pay for it monthly. I think you're really going to want to pay for that annually, or you can buy a lifetime
One of the bigger
subscription.
discounts I've seen.
They're really driving people towards that
Yeah, they
annual
really want the
subscription.
cash. Like, please give us the cash.
Yeah, or $159.99 for a lifetime subscription. It has got a lot of things. We'll talk about that, but there are a lot of others. Some of them are free, but they all basically do similar types of things. Some of them are only browser based, some are application based. You can go through this, read the article, pick the one that is right for you. But this will help you focus if you're finding you're always going over and looking at certain things. I've seen people use this on their email. They only want to check their email, during certain hours of the day, and they don't want to be distracted
Mhm.
by that. I'm one of those people, I constantly see a number up on my email and I go over and I read it, and this would probably be good for me to use one of these as well. But anyway, a really nice blog article that's from Zapier. They do some nice stuff over there, not just stuff that relates to Zapier. And so a good roundup of basically your focus apps that you can get. And with that, let's head over to Zenatta.com and see what's new over there. Well, Tyler, I could say we did the Zoho Survey full product tutorial webinar this week, but really you did it. I think I was on screen for all of maybe 3 minutes of the
Felt your
58 minutes.
emotional support though, so that was what drove me to
It was a
rip off this.
virtual hug,
Yeah,
I was
there you
just
go.
there, rubbing your shoulders, getting you through it.
Yeah.
When we originally started doing it, I said, and I'll just chime in here and there, but you went on a, stream of consciousness bender there that was something to behold. Basically, Tyler covered everything you would want to know about Zoho surveys, all the way into integration with the CRM. It just everything you want to know. It is well worth watching that webinar if you're going to use Zoho Survey. It will save you a ton of time. So just go in, watch that. Watch that for the 53 minutes or whatever it is. It was
Mhm.
so thorough. It's the first webinar we've ever done where there were no questions.
So either
No
people were bored
questions
to
at all.
sleep or it was very thorough, or maybe somewhere in the middle. But yeah, there's definitely just a lot under the hood with survey that isn't super obvious. So I tried to cover some of those things that are really easy to miss in the application, some of the ways that you use it in tangent with, CRM campaigns. These are the modes of delivery. So take a look at that, and we do hope you enjoy.
Yes, and if you don't know, if you go over to Zenatta.com under our resource library, that is where we have all of the resources we have done on every single application. So you can kind of go in there, and I know it's not just on Zoho Survey. By the way, pretty new icon for Zoho Survey. We didn't really
Mhm.
talk about that
Kind of
during the
looks like an
thing.
HR app, though. I forget who I was talking to on our team. Maybe it was Cody. It doesn't make me think of a survey when I see that. It looks like it would be like the Zoho People logo.
No, and as I was
We
saying,
like
terrifies me. It looks like a Ferris wheel that's falling apart and people are plummeting to their deaths to me. But that's I got to talk to my
it's
psychiatrist
just
about
your
that.
yeah, your active imagination running wild there.
But again, in any of these apps, if you click into the app, you will see all of the resources that we have done. Our opinions on it. How we rate it, where we rank it. We've got, if I've clicked into Zoho Books, if you're watching us on YouTube, all of our getting started videos, our how-to basic videos, all the articles and guides that we've done. It's all here, so you don't have to search for it. Just go to the resource library, click on the app you're looking for. Odds are we have made a video that will help you with what you're trying to do. If not, you can head over to Club Zenatta, and say, hey, would you guys make a video on this? And we will try to get that for you. So there you go. And with that, let's head on over to our pick of the week. So after I went through and read the Zapier blog on the 8 best apps for focus, this one really, really, really stood out because it is not only is it a will it block web pages, but it'll block apps, and it's for Mac, and it's for Windows, and it's for Android and iOS and Chrome. It is crazy how in depth this application goes. If you're watching us, not listening to this, the screenshots here about, what you want to block, the times of day you want to block it, all of those kind of things. It's just quite, just a heck of a job that these guys did. Truly a pro app and a pro version of this type of a product. I mean, there are a lot of these that, anti-distraction apps that push things out to the side. But when I went through this and I looked at the detail of it, you take, I imagine, an hour or two to set this up, and the amount of productivity you're going to get back is going to be, 100x at the end of the day. So shout out to this team. They're going to give you an extra 20% off the yearly plan if you use the code Focus25 exclamation point. So that's going to lower that price even lower from the $3.33. So anyway, worth checking out, and good job. Shout out to these guys over at Freedom. They really spent some time on this, and they seem to be the ones who really did it right. And with that, Tyler, I guess we will get over to our tip of the week. So, Tyler, this was a busy, busy week for you. You not only single-handedly carried the Zoho survey webinar on your back, but you went out and you did a quick little tip here. It looks like, 16 minutes almost on Zoho CRM reports and an overview of
Yeah,
reporting.
so they've kind of recently changed some of the UI and functionality around creating these. So I thought I would do a quick walkthrough of just how to create a report now, how to take advantage of their new kind of like parent-child and module mapping UI that you do at the beginning, and some of the new things that you can do now that that's been enabled. So take a look at this one. Again, of course, when we really want to go crazy with data, we're going to end up pulling it over to Zoho Analytics. But for a lot of quick reports that you just want to be able to pull together on the fly, they've definitely made some improvements here that make it a lot easier to do so. So
Do you,
definitely
do you
worth
think
playing around
so? I
with.
mean, nobody asked my opinion on this, but I liked the old interface better. I thought
Well,
it
so the
was.
thing with this one is you can pull in a lot more modules. Like in the
Can
old
you
one, you
though?
could really only pull in like two onto a report, but this you can go, as I'm showing here in the video, if you're watching us on YouTube, accounts, contacts, deals, and tasks. It lets you choose inclusive versus exclusive for child records. And so it takes a little longer to make a report with it, but it gives you a lot more functionality than you used to have.
I didn't. I thought the old one you would choose your main module, and then you could have up to three different modules you could pull into that. Is it how many do you get now?
I don't know if there's a
Unlimited?
hard cap. I'm sure it's not unlimited. It might be the same amount, but it's able to pull from more directions. Like you see here, if I start a report from like deals, I can get the contact, and then I can also get the account of that contact. So it's just more specific around like how you actually want to pull in the data. So worth taking a look at. Again, when you really need to go crazy or dive deep, you're going to want to use Zoho Analytics. But for some of this quick stuff, show me all the open tasks on deals that are not yet closed won. Things like that you can very easily just pull through this new reporting UI.
Nice, nice. And if you don't know, all of our videos are over at youtube.com/Zenatta. And if you head over there, everything we do, and we do a lot, this week alone, it looks like, I guess if we don't count the CRM Zen Show, 1, 2, 3, 4 videos have been produced this week. And we want to thank everybody that supports us over at our YouTube channel. And this week, we crossed the 7,000 user mark. So an angel got its wings, which is just, fantastic. Look at that. There it is. Very nice, Freddy. Very, very nice. But again, thank you everybody who supports us, and we have a lot of fun putting these together. The more we do these, the better we've gotten over the years. The production quality is just, drastically improved. We're looking at some of the ones we did, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and we're thinking we really need to redo those. Just
Mhm.
cameras and lighting and mic and all that stuff. It's been quite a process getting there. And because of that, we actually created an entire podcast company taking everything we've learned and started doing podcasts for other people. That's over at podcasterzen.com. And they produce this show and do some really nice stuff. So thank you for everybody who supports us. And thank you for all the kind words that we get from you. And with that, Tyler, I guess we should head into our Q&A. All right, our first question, I'm not sure we're going to, well, the first question we can. It's a Zoho Books Full Product Tutorial 2020. I guess it's time for another one of those if we haven't done one. Lidza asked, how come when you set up a rule, it does not contain your transaction description? And it does contain your transaction description, and does the auto reference number only work if you download your bank account? We currently use OFX to import bank statements. In reading this, when you set up a rule to basically auto map, what you're talking about here is you're basically in your bank feed and you are categorizing a transaction that comes in. You want it to have your transaction description. So maybe you're saying it does not. It should contain your transaction description. If it doesn't, that would not be any good. And the auto reference number only work if you auto download your bank account statement. I'm not certain what you're referring to with an auto reference number there, but we're going to ask John to maybe get some clarification if he's listening. I don't know why you would use OFX to import your bank statement, though. I think you would be much better off just using Zoho's native bank feed integration. It's a company called Yodel or something of that nature, and they actually just completely revamped it, and it tends to work a heck of a lot better than it did in the past. They've been working out the bugs over the last few months. There have been some troubles, but Linda, I'm thinking you're saying it's not pulling in the description. If it's not, you might want to look at, the actual what you're downloading and what you're importing and take a look at that. So the next question. All right, and then Mr. Fish on how to set up the new Zoho campaign syncs. He was told by campaign support guide that you basically sync your whole list and then you do the segment so that you don't end up spending a lot of money by having a bunch of people that are in there as marketing ready leads. And he wants to know if this is correct, and it is.
Yep.
And can you convert a marketing segment as marketing contacts when the sync is not set to marketing?
Yeah. So what you want to do, Mr. Fish, is essentially you'll pull in those modules, right? So leads and contacts, you'll set them up as non-marketing. You'll create your segments based on any of the relevant field data. And then you'll use the workflows where when they enter a segment, that'll be your trigger criteria. You can use the little subscription management action to actually associate them with a topic and mark them as a marketing contact. I think we do actually have a different video on our channel somewhere. Maybe when we respond to this one, we can link them over to it. Because we have a video that actually walks through that process of setting up your workflow and actually using it to associate your or your topics. So I would take a
And
look at
crazy
that.
little known fact about Mr. Fish, he has a stepbrother called Mr. Chips. I don't know if you knew that or not. There you go.
I knew
All
something
right.
was bubbling up over there, Fred. I could see it. I could see it in your face. You had something going.
You? I was just sitting here. I don't know. I was going to go with, did you know his first name is Chip? But I didn't think that would work so well. So, I was kind of adapting it. It was like I was doing a comedy set, Tyler, and I'd kind of run through various scenarios to see which
Yep.
one was going to land the best. It's a gift, I guess. All right, Patrick, after setting up signatures for Zoho Mail, wants to know, uh, da, 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 would you know how to change email signatures for all Zoho users as the super admin? Unfortunately, Patrick, you can't. It would be a great thing if you could. We actually have a creator application where we format everybody's signature. Everybody in the company gets a nice little signature format. They can copy and paste that over and do those kind of things. And Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for the longest time, Josh was looking for, is there an API in the CRM that would allow you to auto-populate that signature data? And the answer was always no. Now, they've had a lot of changes to APIs recently, so maybe you could. But my guess, you would still have to go to a third-party, you'd have to have some sort of third-party thing to generate the signatures anyway, or you'd have to have a little creator app where you're automatically generating them something, and then
Yep.
you'd be able to write them over there. So There you go. All right. And then Kingsley, after watching last week's CRM Zen show, Cinco de Zoho, says he's into direct sales. I go through quantity to get quality. I have 1,918 Google contacts. How do I import those contacts into the leads module? You can't do it using Zoho. Basically, if you're in the CRM, you can go into settings, you can go down to Google, and you can map your contacts in Google over to CRM as contacts. If you want to put them in as leads, you're going to have to go into Google, go into contacts, export all of your contacts. They'll come out as a nice CSV file. All that information will be there. You can then import them into leads, and that's the only way you're going to be able to get them over there. All right. And then Anthony, after watching Zoho Campaigns configuration, email opt-out and sync, wants to know, changing this, will it update the current opt-outs within Zoho CRM so that we can start emailing back out? No, it will not. What do you have to send out? A new form to them, Tyler?
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. So once you have it set up, you won't have this issue going forward. But to get them to opt back in, you actually have to send them a specific form link from Zoho Campaigns. So it's a bit of a bear to get them back in the system. If you do have these contacts syncing out into like Gmail or Outlook, you can still mail them from there. So you might have to reach out that way to send them the Campaigns opt-in link.
All right. And then Diatina, after watching Zoho Books Full Product Tutorial 2022, I knew we had a new one. Says, is it possible to use Zoho Books to manage several subsidiaries that use multiple currencies? I tried to set up opening balances of a branch with a currency that is different from the base currency, but it failed. Tyler, I don't have the answer to this one. If you don't, we can have John Oda, our
Yeah, maybe have John take a look. I'm
yeah.
not sure.
It looks like you put this over on YouTube, so we'll just go ahead and answer your question directly in YouTube next week. So, John, you can take a look at that. And Steve, thank you for your questions each week. He's got a two-parter here. It's actually a three-parter. I have my CRM linked to G Suite because I use calendar booking system. You can book me. I'm using Zoho Mail for emails. He likes Zmail functionality. But there is an issue when I send emails from Zmail. They do not sync with the contact record in the CRM. If I send from the CRM, it syncs with G Suite OK, and G Suite then syncs with Zmail OK. Is there a workaround whilst I wait for bookings to make the yes list? Thanks as always with the help. This shouldn't be the case, Steve. I'm assuming in reading this that you are using Zoho Mail as a mail client connecting over to Gmail. And if you're doing that and you've set it up as IMAP, not POP, IMAP, everything should be fine. It should, you could look in Gmail and all your sent mails would show up there, same as they would inside the Zoho client, which is basically just acting as a front end to Gmail. So if it's set up as IMAP, you should be good to go. You shouldn't have any problem with this at all. It should show up everywhere. If not, there's something really wonky going on there. There has been some issues with the IMAP connector in the past in Zoho Mail, but it seems to be worked out recently. I actually have Zoho Mail connected to Gmail. It all works perfectly. So take a look at that. And then part two of that question. Nope, there was another part there. All right. Part two of that question is, this is now sorted between Google and Zoho Mail Calendar, but it's a one-way sync from Google to Zmail. Zoho didn't have an answer. Is there a workaround to push and sync Zoho Mail's calendar to Google?
The only real way to do it is to use CRM as an intermediate. I'm pretty sure you can set up a two-way sync between Zoho Mail's calendar and Zoho CRM calendar, and then a two-way sync between Zoho CRM calendar and Google Calendar. So a little bit clunky, but the CRM to Google Calendar integration is actually perfect. Like it works like a charm. So you might just need to use CRM as kind of a middle layer that both of them can sync to more properly.
All right. And then Steve has another question for us. I've asked this question before, and you prefer Zoho campaigns. You mentioned some time back that marketing automation was going through a makeover and possibly will hold all of the social and EDM records. Is there an update on this? Do you still favor campaigns? Once again, I appreciate your inputs. Thanks for the
Honestly,
question,
I don't
Steve.
think we've had an update on where marketing automation is going in this year. So yeah, answer is still the same. Stick with campaigns for now. Yeah, remember they were. Do you remember when they were actually going to pull the trigger and switch over, and they started deprecating stuff in campaigns, and then
Yeah,
undeprecated the stuff out of campaigns and put the whole thing on pause. So that was like 9 months back or so.
long time
And
ago.
there really hasn't been much movement on it since then, Steve. So for now, I'd say stick with campaigns because we have not heard really any movement there on the new marketing automation.
Yeah, there has been nothing. I'm actually looking back in the partner portal right now. Because there was like, it's coming out, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming any day now. It's going to come every quarter, right? It was going to come Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 of this year. And then, you'll get a partner occasionally saying, is there any update on this? And there just hasn't been. So they clearly have run into some issues with whatever they're trying to accomplish there. But my guess is when it does come out, you'll hear about it here first. We will have tried it out because that's going to be a major update when they do that. It's also going to affect, I would imagine, campaigns. There's going to be some merging and things going on there as well.
Yep.
All right, and over at Club Z, ever ask when creating a workflow to create a project from the CRM, what are the options or best way to allow for the use of different project templates? Multi-select field in the CRM to establish a template name and projects? Question mark. How do you got
Yeah, I mean
thoughts?
something like that. If you want to be able to create more than one project from a deal, then you would use a multi-select. You'd get that value, and then for each value in there, line it up with the proper template ID. You could also do it with like a single select if there should only be one project for each deal. Or you can use your existing deal data. You can kind of read through that and understand what type of project you're going to use. One little tip when you go down this route, Everett, is to create a custom module that maps the various field options to a project ID. It's kind of like an admin settings module where it could even just have two fields, one with like the multi-select value and another with the template ID, because then you can just search there and you don't have to hard code all your values into the function. But yeah, I mean, generally, if we can base it on fields that are already in the deal, we'll do that. Otherwise, it would just be a decision on if you need more than one project per deal. If you do need more than one, then a multi-select will work just fine.
And in the chat room, Wayne, who was over at Zoholics in London, said that they stood up on stage and announced it would be soon.
Isn't that what they said
Sometime
9 months
soon.
ago?
We've been hearing that for a while, so we still don't know on marketing automations. All right, also over on Club Zenatta, Kate asked us, has anyone else had an issue when exporting contacts over the last couple of days? It appears that if you select all fields and then download, it cuts you off and you only get some of the records. This has happened with both small and large exports. Sometimes only the field headings come down. If we just accept the default fields all as well, I'd be very grateful. I know that, what is it, 1,000 records or 2,000 records when you're kind of like
Well,
doing
it
a
depends how
filtered
you're
report?
exporting. If you're exporting via the like export tab in settings, it gives you 3,000. If you're exporting via reports, you can get either 2,000 or 20,000 based on the format that you pull out. So if you're having an issue, Kate, with the default export, first I would say report it to Zoho. I haven't heard anything else on that from other customers. And then maybe try pulling it as a report and exporting it as CSV that way. That'll give you up to 20,000 records.
Yeah. Or you can do a backup. And if you hit the backup button and you grab that file, the contacts file will have everything in it. So you can take
Yep.
that, sort it, do what you want with it. All right. And also over at Club Z, Anthony James Smith asks, we currently have a purchase timeframe field that is completed by a customer on a form and populates a pick list with the contacts module in the CRM. Now, the issue with this, a contact could select 0 to 3 months, for example, but 4 months down the line, that will no longer be the case as such. Similar would be for 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 12 months, etc. I'm thinking of creating a new pick list with the respective months of the year. November 22, December 22, January 23, and so on. Then creating a workflow that if the query is made in the month of November 2022 and chooses 3 to 6 months, to update the pick list for 5 months' time, which will be April 2023. Now, this would need amending every few months, which is fine. But would there be a better alternative in doing this? And has anyone come across it? I'm sure we have a better alternative than that, Tyler. I'm just trying to.
So essentially, so like over 3 6 months.
Basically, if I did something now and I said my time frame to purchase was XYZ and I hadn't purchased by this, I'd want to basically update that and push it out is how I'm reading this, right? And I
Yeah.
would think you could do a workflow with that or a little custom function that would read it and change the time frame.
I mean, I would
Can you do it with
probably
the
look
workflow?
at basing this on like, form submission date, write that as a field based on the 0 to 3 months, write to some other field and a date like expected purchase time frame as a like future date field. Maybe do some tasking once you get up close to that date. I wouldn't go down the rabbit hole of creating all the pick lists with the respective months. It just there's got to be a more clever way. I might not have it on the tip of my tongue right now, but you could surely do something based on this time frame value and the date that it was submitted, setting a future date, maybe like if it's 0 to 3 months, do it at like month 2 or something to check in with them. And then maybe some type of like update and reset function so that if they call them and they say, give me another month, then you bump that date back again and go from there.
Yeah. And if any of our devs have a clever answer around that, just drop into Club Z and answer it there. That would be great. All right, Tyler, that is going to wrap up our show. I noticed, we started off doing this. We were always, 20 to 30 minutes, and then we creeped into that 30 to 40 minute range. And now we're pushing an hour almost every single time. So anyway, want to thank everybody for listening to our show. And if you'd like to get a hold of us, you can head over to clubzenatta.com and click book a time with us. And we're happy to get on the phone and talk to you about how we can help you. And if you have any questions, you want to participate in our community, head over to club.zenatta.com where everything Zoho is going on.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. We'd love if you would follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We'll see you next Friday.
Take care, everyone. Good show, buddy.
That smooth jazz play us out.
Boom, boom, boom. Have a great weekend, everyone.